Welcome back to Storytime with Glow. I'm Glow, and Nana Lynn also does one, and we're back with another treasure. Chapter 3. The morning passed quickly by as shoppers and well-wishers came out in and out of secondhand places. Mary was enjoying talking to everyone who visited the first day. They seemed excited to see the shop operating again, and several of the older visitors recounted stories of the past when the sisters' grandmother Louis and their mother Alma ran the store. Besides past customers, there were many new shoppers. Several people from church stopped by too, even those who already seen the store. So how's it going, Mary? Mary jumped at the sound of the man's voice. She hadn't seen him approach. Oh, Billy, she said, clearing her throat and feeling nervous. His brown eyes saw her. We're doing well, she said, noticing a small tremble in her words. She tried to gather her wits and steady her voice. We sold quite a bit of merchandise, and the afternoon has been busy too. I'm glad, he said. He held up a toaster that looked for him. My toaster was one setting left. Has one setting left. Charcoal. Think it's time to make a change. Mary grinned at Digis. I think this one will give you a couple more options. He stared at her for a moment, and they both fell silent. Billy, a man her family had known for years, was a local coordinator, and he helped fix up the old barn so they could reopen the store. Mary and Billy had been friends when they were young, but now that they were adults, their relationship had changed. But now that they were, although they had spoken a couple times since Mary had moved home, she felt rather shy around him. Now in his 50s, he reminded Mary of a younger Harrison Ford, handsome, witty, kind. She felt drawn to him and afraid of him all at the same time. Billy had dark hair, deep brown eyes, and eyelashes most women would cover. He was muscular and not very tall, nothing like Brian, who was tall, blond, and thin. Yet she looked at Billy. Brian's face floated in front of her. Would she always think of Brian when she was around other men? Mary nodded towards Elizabeth. Can you check out? Mary, Mary, Mary nodded towards Elizabeth, who stood at the front of the barn next to the cashier. Elizabeth, can you check out? Billy said goodbye and headed towards the front. Mary watched him pay for his toaster and left. It's like for the best that he hadn't talked much, she told herself. She wasn't sure she was ready to let another man into her life. Maybe never would be. The sisters closed the store at 5 o'clock. Elizabeth and Mary straightened up the merchandise where Mary looked over for receipts and counted the money. When they were done, they went inside the house together around the large kitchen table. The homely kitchen expressed their parents' personalities. The old stove had belonged to their grandmother. It was huge, with an enamel with black edging, white enamel with black edging. It was a definite antique, but no new stove ovens could bake as well. The kitchen cabinets were crafted by their father. Solid wood, though Elizabeth had painted them white. Their mother had mounted several large copper cake foams around the kitchen. They added an overall ambience to the room. Comfortable room. So how'd we do? Elizabeth asked Mary and Martha sat while pitched a lemonade out of the fridge and poured it into 3 glasses. Martha looked over the top of her spectacles. She wore them so she could read when she worked on the books. Martha was a sister with math and money skills. So you paired it, and I'm happy to say we did very well. After paying our sellers, we're nettling over a little over $400. Mary frowned. That doesn't sound like much. Our first day is very good. People are feeling us out. I think we're going to get more big ticket items. Our profit will increase. Almost Benson is interested in old Amory we have in the back. I think you might buy it. You can make a tidy sum on that. Elizabeth smiled. See, I am confident sales will pick up. We almost sold almost all of our bread. Maybe we could expand our baked goods? Martha said, if somebody helps me, I can't spend all my time baking. I'll help, Mary said. Martha sighed. You usually lose interest when you get bored. I'll need you to see it through. Mary opened her mouth. Since when do I not see through? When we were teenagers? I've grown a bit since then, you know. The corner of Martha's mouth twitched. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Why don't we come up with a menu of items? We can do some baking and plan for the rest of the week. All right. Elizabeth couldn't hold back a smile. Mary's irritation with her sisters was already gone. She never stayed mad long. Martha got up at the table and took some cookies from the cooker and put them on a plate. Sorry, all this talking about baking has made me hungry. She sat down at the table with a cookie. I saw you talking to Billy Richmond today, Mary. What did he want? Mary looked down at the table. Elizabeth was aware that her sister still carried deep wounds because Brian's deceit. His secretary was much younger than Mary, although certainly not as attractive. Elizabeth was certain that she was after Brian's money. She remembered how devastated Mary was when he left. The pain he caused his wife and children was something, Thankfully, Michael and Jennifer were doing well. Michael had recently married and had a child on the way. He refused to see his father. Jennifer was in college and, as far as Elizabeth knew, also had no contact with Brian. Realizing it was time to change the subject, Elizabeth got up and grabbed a notebook from the kitchen drawer and found a pen and sat down. Even though I hate bringing it up, we've got to deal with the Anita Smucker situation. Martha sighed in an aspiration. That woman, she actually threatened to sue us. Elizabeth Dunn. Her cousin is a real attorney. I've met him. She shut her mouth tight, trying to find something to say about him that wasn't judgmental. Mom always told us if we couldn't say nothing nice, not to say anything at all. Mary said, that guy must be awful. Let's just say that Alphonse isn't a very nice person. How do you know him, Lizzie? He came to church dinner once. Anita introduced us. She paused for a moment and looked, trying to find different words. Let's just say I wasn't impressed and let it go at that. But how could she sue us? We haven't done anything wrong. I honestly don't know, Elizabeth replied. But if we don't want to find out, we better get everything we sold that belongs to Smuckers. Once we turn it all over to her, she should be satisfied and leave us alone. But we'll buy the items back. There goes our profit. I understand what you're saying, but it's better than losing the little profit than losing our store. Mary took a quick breath and blew it forcefully. I still can't believe Warren Smucker actually left his daughter a ridiculous riddle himself, just telling her of this treasure. Elizabeth arched her eyebrows. Warren really loved jokes and riddles. He told Mom once that he believed that his riddles helped Anita do better in school, that they made her think better. I suspect once he began to experience leaving her daughter one last riddle made sense to him. Well, if she's so smart, why doesn't she figure it out and leave the rest of us alone? Martha snapped. Mama also said Anita was never really good with riddles. Mama also, Elizabeth said, chuckling. It seems like she really hates him, but Warren fooled himself into thinking she liked him as much as she did. She took a sip of the lanolin and picked up a cookie. One thing we need to keep in mind is that the riddle might not make any sense. I hope that it helps us, but if not, well, we just have to look at all of the belongings and turn them under her. After that, it's up to her to figure it out. Let's make a list of everything that's been sold and who bought it. We'll contact each of the person and ask them to let us buy it back, the piece back. It will be a little awkward, but at this point, what other choice do we have? Martha and Mary didn't argue with their older sister, but Elizabeth knew that they weren't going to be happy about this turn of events. Was she. Could one of our customers be aware that they're holding an extremely valuable item? If so, what would happen if they refused to return it? And that, my friends, is the end of that chapter. What's going to happen? Are they going to be able to get the items back? Stay tuned. Chapter 4 will be up soon. Bye, guys.